Howdy healers, welcome to Zero to KSM Hero, a series where I'll be attempting the Keystone Master Challenge in patch 9.1.5 on a brand new healer. The rules are simple. For the Alliance, least favored healer, least popular covenant, only moderate help from main character allowed, no linking raid or IO to main character, hugging only, and finally the challenge must be finished before posting the first video to avoid any external help or assistance, and of course for the sake of integrity. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing the mega edited version of the video just to see how it goes. So this is my key. I'm queuing up to find people, and it's in the morning, so I'm not being very picky, honestly. Sometimes you just can't afford to be picky. So I get a whisper from this monk, but you know, he didn't even need to whisper me. I'm desperate. It's the morning. I don't think we have enough monks. I think that you can never have enough monks. So I take this opportunity, besides the fact that the tank points out that if Mystic Touch stacked, we'd be badass, and it's like, yeah, but like, I mentioned Disease Cleanse, and I do this because, please, cleanse. Please. Yes! 3 monks that know that cleanse is a thing. Alright, but then Voodoo bugged out on me. You can kind of see it like flickering there for a second. Showing people in and out of range, even though they're all in range. So to fix that, if it does happen to you, all you have to do is switch specs and then switch back, and it usually takes care of the problem. So I went ahead and did that. Group's gonna be fun when they pull out the transmog toy. So of course, naturally, I have to use it. And this also marks me actually making a macro for a pull timer. Yes, you may all be grateful for my work here. Alright, so the first pull is one of the most dangerous pulls in the dungeon. So pretty much however this pull goes is how like the whole dungeon is gonna go, honestly. There's never an in-between here. So you're better off just blowing a cooldown on this first pull no matter what. Of course, I blow Yulon and then fail to, I guess, use any like actual stuff that helps Yulon. Our Soothe did not come in clutch there, but you know, it's okay. On to the boss. We have it's not like it's a bad comp or anything. Somebody interrupts that. I should be paralyzing this immediately, but somebody else grabs it, I think. Or maybe I ended up doing it, I don't remember. The damage on this fight can be kind of intense. Of course, it's still Grievous week, so I'm trying to stay on top of my DPS so that they don't end up taking too much damage. I also want to stay out of the way so that I'm not, so that nobody's getting searing death on them. Opportunity strikes got interrupted here. I am, blasting out mana on this fight, though, which is not really what you want. Fixation on me, so I ran, but somebody did eventually soothe that. Opportunity strikes is going on over there, and I should have been over there faster to, para the mob, but what can you do? These searing death casts are so annoying. Obviously it does quite a bit of damage too, but I'm just trying to stay out of everybody's way. My group is pretty much on top of opportunity strikes, though. I don't really have to do much. Thank God. Boss down, it's time to drink. Alright, so on to one of the worst wings. So with my editing, like clearly you can see that I'm just like cutting out huge chunks of the dungeon, which, you know what, honestly, it takes a long time, but it might be worth it. Let me know how you feel about it. It's harder to do like continuous commentary because of all the scene changes, but it is what it is. So I'm trying to get the parts of this dungeon, specifically the swing right now, that are difficult. So some of these pools aren't bad at all. And other ones are like legitimately terrible where you see people die in like a couple of hits. So, I mean, there's only so much you can do, but we do have some interrupts going out here, which is nice. The calm before the storm, if you will. The first rancid gas bag can pretty much tell you how the rest of the wing is gonna go. So, we could see everybody running into position and nobody got hit by the putrid breath or whatever that was. So, fingers crossed. Theater of Pain is not my favorite dungeon. And we had a second ground here where it went pretty well. So here's another big pool with a gas bag. He's almost dead, but you just never know. Unfortunately, we lost a boy here. He stood in the explosion, and I was going to res him, but somebody else handled it, so thank you to the DPS out there or the tanks that start casting res for us so that we can just drink. Gore Chop is usually pretty easy. I don't think I've ever had like a lot of major problems on this fight. The biggest issue I personally have is running away before he pulls everybody in. And obviously you can mitigate that by just already standing in. But I've found that if I let myself get yoinked in, sometimes it's better for me on like an awareness level because it can be hard for me to pay attention to the circle around him. So if I get yoinked in, I know I need to run immediately. Whereas if I just stand there, I may miss the circle telegraph, which I know sounds stupid because it's so clearly marked, but, you know, sometimes my brain is just like, we're not going to help you today. But yeah, Gore Chop's usually pretty easy. I've never... I shouldn't say I've never struggled. I've definitely had some issues where I ended up like getting caught by a chain or dragged along the side or stuck in the silence portion of the room for a second. So yeah, I got a little unlucky there, but it wasn't enough to kill me or wipe the group, so it's fine. IQD's executes up, but probably not going to use it because I'm just not used to having it yet. But now that I've obviously used it more, I would. The higher level the key, the more that smash does, so you definitely want to, you know, not get hit by that. Alright, so on to the wing that I hate maybe the most. There I go using Cocoon. Somebody died. The really awful part about this is just, there's so many mobs. Somebody else died. And I'm line of sighted, which is just the worst. Yeah, the DPS monk is right. That's not really a pull that you want to do. If on inspired weeks. So I'm just busy being relieved that we didn't wipe, but this Portal Guardian damage can be really high. Let's just put it that way. So I am not a big fan of it, of the mob anyway. Apparently nobody else is either because they Touch of Death it. So here we have another Portal Guardian, which I'm not looking forward to. This pull is just awful anyway because of the diseases or I shouldn't say diseases, like the magic dispel stuff that goes out. I already used my dispel, so like you're pretty much using it on cooldown, but you still have to heal through other people. Yuck. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of this pull. In fact, this pull that we just did is actually worse than this one here, even though this one here I would argue also can suck. But even as a ranged, I go stand in melee on these guys just because it's the only way that I can avoid the tornadoes. It's very hard for me to tell what direction these guys are facing, and sometimes the direction they face has like nothing to do with the tornado. Like the tornado looks like it's going one direction, but they're actually not facing that way. So it's if you're in melee, you can just run behind the mob, and then you know for sure that you're not in the way. We had somebody die to it. I'm waiting for this curse to fall off. Somebody else is rezzing for me as well, which is nice. I'm just chilling, waiting for the res so I can heal him or whatever. Make sure he's not dead. I should have healed him. I don't know why I didn't. Oh, because everybody else was already over here. And there, somebody just died. Just be in the tank again. Somebody had unfortunate timing coming up onto the platform. I used diffuse magic in the hopes of it, like, protecting me a little bit. I'd say I'm lucky that I did the conduits that, like, heal me more with stuff. Anyway, I get seated here. This is, like, awful, actually. This just felt bad. Using Revival just to get off the magic debuffs kind of stupid, but... You know, beggars can't be choosers or whatever. We're almost there. That was rough. Alright, and so now for this boss, who isn't the worst. I don't know, some people like really hate this boss, but I think it's not too bad. Maybe it's just that it's easier on a Mistweaver. I could argue it being pretty simple on a Shaman maybe too, because at least they can Astral Shift to protect themselves for one of the casts if it ends up on them. But I don't think they have it as good as Mistweavers here. Mistweavers just have an easy time. Also, like, incredible throughput healing, so... If you dispel one person and need to heal just one, it's like, it's not that bad. Especially with my Legendary making Vivify and Enveloping do more healing while Soothing Mist is active, so... It's pretty easy that way. And as you can see, the boss is kind of melting here. I mean, this is just a 9, so it's not like it's a super high level key or anything, but... You know, beggars can't be choosers. Anyway, I try to dispel, like, melee before I dispel ranged, unless the ranged is especially, like, squishy, I guess. Alright, so this wing is easy, except for this one pole that is pretty miserable. I don't know that Ring of Piecing there was the right move, but you definitely want to go into this pool with cooldowns, and hopefully with your renewing mists up on people, because you won't have a lot of time to put them out once the pull begins, just because of how much damage goes out. But it's a good pull for Fort Brew, that's for sure. Or if you're a Shaman Astral Shift, because just a lot of damage going out. Easy. Alright, and then this guy. I think this boss is usually pretty easy. The only big issue with him is if your two best DPS get sent into the pit, that can kind of suck. But even then, as a Mistweaver, we have just so much mobility. It's pretty rare that we would get too surprised by anything, even with the banner down. So he's almost like just non-threatening. Something I do end up eventually using IQD for here is to like help Touch of Death, or like help execute that if Touch of Death is on cooldown. But like I didn't need it there because I still had Touch of Death. Monk mobility is so overpowered in this fight. Oh my god. It was the creepiest little laugh. Like, jeez. One thing I will say is, like, when the expansion first came out, nobody wanted to kill the banner. Like, people were just ignoring it. But I'd say by this point, like, everybody just kind of knows already to do it. So that's been nice. And on to the last boss. Super, super fast. This place can actually be pretty fast. Like, half of what makes it take so long is the walking from place to place anyways. So we're on to the Endless Empress, or whatever. I don't mind this boss. I actually think she's challenging in the correct amount of ways. At first I thought it was like super confusing, but once you know the pattern, the boss is easy. By which I mean, if you're a DPS, you really need to just make sure that you're not, like, doing anything stupid. And don't do what I did, which is just roll into the audience. I've seen that, like, bug out on people and kill them, so. This is where, if you're a DPS, just pay attention to your positioning. Like, if you're dead, obviously you can't do any damage. So, but if you're paying attention and you don't get hit by anything, then you get a pretty decent length of time to do damage without anything in the way. And if you are ranged, you should be standing closer to the boss. And I'm saying that, like, to avoid her, like, cone. That was kind of my bad. I should have been paying a little bit more attention to the tank there. But once it's done, it's done. There's nothing you can do. The boss is almost dead, so I'll be damned if we wipe now. And then I let them die. It's a bit of a yikes here. I could have done way better on this fight. But yeah, that's that. We plus 2'd it, so that's pretty cool. It just like goes to prove to me that like I'm capable of healing 10s, and I don't know why I keep going back to like 8s and 9s even though like I'm capable of 10s. I think it's that like I just don't trust myself 100% to be like, I don't know, to I just don't have the confidence. So we'll see. Eventually I get more confident, I guess. Like maybe not as confident as I should have been, but in my opinion, it's always better to err on the side of caution. So we got Theater of the Pain out of the way, thank God. Not my favorite place, but not as bad as it used to be. So now I have an 11 halls, it looks like. But am I gonna do it? No, of course not. I'm too much of a coward. Alright, so we get accepted next into an 8 Necrotic Wake. Why am I doing an 8? Because I'm stupid, actually. No, because I got invited, I don't know. And I'm just like, at this point, like, any keys that I can do are better than nothing. So, in Necrotic Wake, as I'm sure many of you already know, the first, like, 2 pulls kind of just determine how the whole dungeon's gonna go. And as you can see, this is going very well. Super smooth. I'm very happy with the first pool. So the second pool, it can be a little bit more chaotic, especially if you popped a cooldown on the first one, which I didn't really do. If I was going to do this over again, just knowing that the pools are rough, I probably would have just cocooned somebody here just to take the pressure off of just a little bit. But you can see we've got people interrupting and like our DPS are slamming. So easy, 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 easy. Skipping straight to the first boss because nobody wants to see the same trash pulls over and over again. We did get our orbs, thanks, I believe, to the warrior. Now that I know a little bit more about how to do this boss, like, I definitely would be facing the wall back there with that, but I didn't really have much direction on it, so... And the DPS are blasting. So I actually used a weapon on this boss, which some groups I'm in don't do, but he can be a little bit annoying. So whatever it takes to just get it over with, right? This boss I do notice, like in the in-between parts, he's not bad. Like you don't even have to heal. The orbs, especially if you have the orbs, do most of the healing for you. Alright, so easy. We got orbs again after we got up to the top of the stairs. I'm standing back and I shouldn't be. I should definitely be, like, closer. What really drives me wild are when people don't pick up the orbs. Like, they do so much damage and healing. You are wasting yours and everybody's time if you just don't even at least pick them up. But most people are smart enough to pick them up. The thing is like, unless you're looking for the buff on your at the top of your screen or whatever, you may not even, you may think you picked it up, but you didn't. So like always just make sure that you actually have the buff. The fear went off, which is annoying, but my main priority with the fear is to dispel the tank, because if anybody pulls any mobs, the tank can obviously get control again. Alright, so Shroud up. I thought about picking up the hammer, but then I was scared, so I didn't. We got more orbs here. We actually had to wait about 15 seconds till the steward came back up to grab it, but whatever. It was worth the 15 seconds just because the sheer amount of damage that you can do. I panicked a little bit here. Again, would have cocooned somebody now just because it seems like the smarter choice. Everything died so fast, it was wild. Alright, so somebody actually started the RP here extra early, so we were able to just pretty much just come up immediately. This is the true test if I can like do this boss without standing in something stupid. We are short a little bit of percentage, just like one mob or something. But this is where we're not like communicating what we plan to do after that. I did CC the one mage just because the boss is dying so fast. I felt like Ring of Piecing them into the group wasn't gonna do anything. I shouldn't say it wasn't going to do anything, but it wasn't going to be worth it. So I'm standing back a little bit extra from the harvest just because what ends up happening to me is that it looks like everything is fine, but I'm just like barely off center there and I get hit. All right, so we actually agreed to just do it after the boss, the missing percentage. And this is a big pool and it's already going kind of bad. I'm going to get seated here. Which works to my benefit in the sense that, like, at least if I'm seated, everybody's leaving me alone. But not to the benefit of our DPS, unfortunately. So we did lose somebody. But that's a small price to pay for speed, I suppose. So I could definitely do it better if I was doing it again. Again, would have cocooned there. If the first pool in that room, like if the first large pool in the room goes well, you know the rest of it's going to be fine. And it was, so I just skipped it. We're doing fine here. We're getting the boss hooked down first try, so nothing to worry about. And our DPS are blasting. I should definitely be in there blasting as well. I just want to hook the boss, which I do. I kind of realized that I might be able to hook the boss, so I run over early, just a little bit, and I do manage to get him again, so here's another case of me learning things where this time when I did the dungeon, I remembered, like, you know, about when the hook is going to come out again, and that you can grab the boss immediately if you time it just right, so that was super fast and smooth. I definitely can't complain about that. And one of my favorite things about Necrotic Wake anyway is that the last two bosses are just like one right after the other. I love that there's no trash between them. So we're starting off with a bang here. This is a group where we do not have Bloodlust. And in fact, I don't think anybody even has drums. I still have my spear to use, which hopefully I'll use after the Comet Storm. Barely healed the warrior before he got sent off. I probably should have saved the spear for the shield, but it doesn't really matter so long as it gets used. There's nothing more embarrassing than not using a weapon in this dungeon. They just do so much damage. I'm not in melee just because we have other melee to worry about, and I don't want to get in their way. I messed up and accidentally froze the warrior in when he dropped in. So, luckily, being a monk, I had Tiger's Lust to dispel the root on him, so I utilized it. Alright, easy. Now we have to go down for the last little percentage. Pretty simple. I know there's a weapon here, so, like, let's make it extra easy. Boom. Alright, we plus 3'd it. This is one of the only keys that we plus 3'd. So that's pretty exciting, actually. And they're talking about how they're going to be doing more later and, maybe they'll see us around. So that's kind of wholesome. And I get a chest that's not an upgrade for me, so I ask if anybody wants it. And the rogue says they'll take it. So, yay, I've traded some loot to somebody. That feels good always. It feels bad when it goes to waste. All right, so that pretty much concludes our first attempt at editing, like heavily editing an episode. So let me know how you felt about it, if you like it better or not as much as the normal, like, full length episodes. I know that when you skip stuff, it feels maybe a little bit disconnected, but by the time you've seen every dungeon like 20 times, I do feel like it gets a little bit old to see the full thing over and over again, but that's 100% up to you guys. You're the one that has to watch it, right? So, I mean, I guess you don't have to, but you probably will. So, anyway, let me know what you think about the editing, if this is your new preferred method. If it is, I will just start doing it this way for the most part. And if it's not, I'll just go back to the old way. No harm, no foul. Unfortunately, looking at the bingo cards, we didn't get anything for painful bingo or wholesome bingo. Both groups were pretty good, but they weren't like stand out in any specific way. So I'm not really going to give us anything for either one of these groups, but it was pretty good. I was pretty happy with these people. So that's it for this episode. Until next time, take care of yourselves and happy healing.